Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of
Gato.
My name is Hans
I'm Edward.
and we are your hosts for now and forevermore.
I've
Or
got
until...
nothing.
Gosh, Edwin, why? You do this every week. You should know. Okay, I've got one. Up until we find life on Venus to eradicate us.
Oh, boom.
More on that later in the episode.
Yes.
How are you doing, Edwin?
I'm good. Good. Just tired. How about you?
Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, some time for real talk. Although, you know, we skirt on a lot of topics here in Gerol. We have also mentioned a lot of times, coronavirus, we've spoken about it a lot. This week, I am very sad to speak about the fact that... Speak about the fact that I lost my uncle from COVID. It's been very difficult for everyone. It isn't a joke. If you are out there and you're not listening to what people have to say about wearing a mask and washing your hands and so on and so forth, then you are part of the problem. And it's people like you that cause people like my uncle to suffer the consequences of your delusion. So all I really want to say to everybody out there is please, just wash your hands, wear a mask. And if you really have to see people, whether family, strangers or friends, just take every precaution. Because this thing is real, it is around, and although it may not have affected you directly, it has affected a lot of people. And although my family and I, my direct family, have been keeping very careful, the fact is it still affected us on some level. And it's not something that I would wish on anyone. So please, if this is a PSA I can give to any of you, just follow the rules, wear a mask, wash your hands, and keep your distance.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't expect to tear up, but obviously it is one of those things. On that very somber note, we will continue on with the episode. Edward, sorry.
Are you okay, Hans?
I'm okay. Thank you. I was really trying not to
No, I get that.
emotional there, but you know, it happened. So
yeah.
For those of you who are listening or watching, thank you for always taking the time to speak to us. And I'm pretty sure that those of you in our audience are actually the responsible folk. At least that's what I'd like to believe. All right. Okay. As always, we'll go into news, reviews, previews, and then the bulk of the content, which kind of always gets merged together anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is going to be good for me too, because it'll take my mind off things. Okay, so Edward.
Yes.
Going straight into reviews. Let's go with the games you previewed last week.
Okay. Last week I specifically spoke about something I couldn't speak about. We skirted much around it. It was the new episode for Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Yes, Red Patriot.
There we go. And yeah, it turns out that I actually enjoyed it a lot. It's not as involved as episode 2 was. The Splinter Cell episode was the episode 2. I have a good article on the shitty Ubisoft practices with Splinter Cell as well.
I'm so glad you're saying that because now, not to totally segue from this, but we did learn this week that Ubisoft is now doing a Splinter Cell VR game.
Oh.
So I can already hear in your voice that so Edward has penned some very strong opinion articles on just how Ubisoft is not appreciating the Splinter Cell brand. And this is just another nail in the coffin, correct?
Yeah. I don't know. We know nothing about the Splinter Cell VR thing. besides the fact that it's a VR game set in the Splinter Cell universe.
Yes.
Now, I bet it's going to involve Sam in some way, and it's going to be some half-assed cop-out game meant to only make money. And it seems like Ubisoft, they don't care about the brand at all anymore. All they really Sam became the most cameoed video game character in the last 10 years.
So this is now the issue, right? It's a fantastic franchise. It's a fantastic intellectual property, and everybody wants more of Sam Fisher. And yet, instead of actually making another Splinter Cell game, all Ubisoft is doing is leveraging that popularity in other titles to make more money. So I think if I'm understanding correctly, that's actually where your major issue is that they're just utilizing the brand power of Splinter Cell in their other franchises just to boost the other franchises instead of actually giving fans what they want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I did listen. Sadly, I didn't play a lot of the new Splinter Cell content in Rainbow Six Siege, but the new voiceover guy actually does a very good job. Now, if he can be the voice for Sam in an actual Splinter Cell game, I wouldn't mind at all.
Yeah.
And I bet he's the voice in whichever VR thing we're going to get now.
Yes.
But I'm just sad.
This is the guy that took over Michael Ironside, right?
No, so it was Michael Ironside, then Eric Johnson.
There's a new one?
And yeah, so this is another new guy. And he sounds kind of in between Eric Johnson and Michael Ironside.
But
see, that's the thing. Michael Ironside is Sam Fisher.
Yes, why not just use him? It's like James Earl Jones being Darth Vader and Mufasa. They are irreplaceable, you know?
So what happened is after Michael saw the script for Blacklist, he walked out of the project. He didn't walk out of the project. He retired his voice for the character because the reasoning behind it at the time was they wanted to go into a James Bond route, so they wanted to make the character timeless instead of having him just age and age and age and age. Also, he couldn't do the mocap at all anymore.
Because he's too old?
Yes, he's in his 60s now.
But then why not just stick with Eric Johnson then?
That's the thing. If it was up to me, I'd say stick to your guns. Keep Eric Johnson on.
Yeah.
Let him do the mocap. Let him be the face. And just carry on from there. Stick to your guns. People still love the franchise. People still buy the games.
I digress. Back to Breakpoint.
We all digress.
I absolutely. This is just us though. This is why we have Gettle, because we'll talk about one thing. We'll have a schedule of things to talk about, and then we'll just diverge.
Yeah, we'll just carry on and on and on.
Okay, so we will. You know what? We always say we will, but we genuinely will speak about this at a future date because there's obviously more you want to say about this, and I'm also curious about it. That's why I prompted the questions. Yes. So let's shelve that for a little bit later because
cool.
We do know that it's coming to Facebook's Oculus, and that's a whole other drama that we can also speak about. But that aside, back to Breakpoint. I keep wanting to say Red Sparrow, and I know it's Red Patriot.
To be fair, Red Sparrow sounds better. I think Red Patriot is a weird name, but it's all just because it's all about the Russians and the Bodarks.
Yes.
So basically, this new episode, it opens up the game. It reminds me a lot of Wildlands in a sense that it's an open structure more than the narrative structure that the previous episode gave us all.
Yes.
So it's about finding and putting an end to Trace Stone, who was a character from the Future Soldier universe. That's
cool.
Every mission is just taking out a new Bodark, or not a new Bodark, but a returning Bodark.
In your opinion, it's a good piece of DLC, and if you either have the season pass or even if you don't, it's worth purchasing, right?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do today, instead of just speaking about games and then TV shows, we're going to mix them up a bit. So I'm going to just give you an overview of the Social Dilemma documentary that I recently watched on Netflix, and I can honestly say that, I'd advise a lot of people to watch it. Now, Sure. Given my work background in marketing and social media, and that there were a lot of things that I already, in many ways, knew about. However, watching it with my parents and Diona, for example, there were many things revealed that they didn't realize or know about. Like, I'm not sure about our listeners, but if you've ever tried explaining the algorithm from any service or platform to your parents, you'll know how they don't quite understand it.
Yeah, it's impossible.
So, from that perspective, it's a very much an enlightening documentary. It really just talks about how social media has been designed, and really it's to be addictive. That's the big takeaway. And how, unlike conventional forms of advertising, social media has no real governing body. You can do whatever you want, and regardless of your age, you have access to it. So it's actually quite dangerous. Anyway, I'd recommend people really give it a watch. It's good. And in many respects, it might even get a lot of you to stop social. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. Only reason why I have it is because I have businesses that rely on social, because that's how you get your customers to interact.
Yep.
So if I didn't have it, it would be detrimental to the business versus me actually anybody who's friends with me on Facebook, and not my public profile, my actual profile, will know that I rarely ever post anything. I'm more of a Twitter person, and that's because I enjoy things that are that come and go. Doesn't have to live in perpetuity. As one single thing. Anyway, that aside, you had another game from your side, Edward, WRC.
Yes, WRC. It's to those who don't know, it stands for World Rally Championship, I believe. I'm honestly not too certain. And this is the ninth major installation, and it's very, very, very good.
A lot better than Project Cars that you said from last week, right?
Yes, it's way better. Then again, Project Cars was not about rally; it was about closed track racing. So it is two different things. But in terms of simulation, it's next level.
That's what I was getting at more so, is that that WRC is known as a simulation rally title. Yes. And Project Cars was previously known as a simulation title. But
not anymore.
Not anymore,
So yeah, it's very good. If you know the Dirt franchise, it's a lot like that. I still think Dirt 2.0 is the better rally sim. I can't put my finger on it, but it just feels better. I hope that comes through in my writing as well. I don't know why I don't like this game as much. It's an amazing game. It's an amazing sim, but I prefer Dirt over WRC.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, well, I honestly can't think of a concrete reason why, though.
That's all right.
That's what I'm worried about.
It's one of those gut feels, I would imagine.
Yeah,
and also just the feel of the game, because that sometimes happens.
Yeah.
Speaking of gut feels and how you feel about things, we recently watched the TV show called Away on Netflix, which is something I have been very interested in for a long time now, because who doesn't like space drama, right?
Exactly.
Now, that was my mistake.
So it's bad.
I went into it thinking that it was sort of like The Expanse. Now, bear in mind, when I say like The Expanse, I don't mean that high-minded of sci-fi, where we're like thousands of years into the future. I just figured that it was more of a closer to home science fiction drama. Because it's all about how we're sending people to Mars, and, they're going to go and set up a colony. It's more realistic, given all of the advances with SpaceX and the Falcon rockets and so on and so forth. But, man, does it devolve into one of the most cliched and awfully written dramas I have ever watched on television. I mean, this you could literally pick any other setting except for space, and it would fit. and the reason for this is because it's quite obvious. Whoever created the show knows nothing about real-world technology, because these people have better service on the moon than we do sitting doing this episode of Gettle. Okay, I mean, I haven't said anything to Edward now, but there's been a couple of times already where he's totally cut out and I haven't heard his voice. But these people in the TV show Away have pinpoint perfect signal from thousands of kilometers away in space that is also real time. They literally just pick up the phone, dial a number, and be like, "Hey, bitch, what's up?" to whoever's on Earth. No, I'm not even kidding. So it's like it's all about these. It's all about these people who are supposed to be going to start a colony on Mars or whatever, and yet there's all this drama happening on Earth. So great example is Hilary Swank's character. She leaves her husband and daughter on Earth, and of course, the night she leaves, the husband has a stroke, and now the daughter has to look after him, as if her being in space wasn't already dramatic enough. And in that same episode, she has to go out of the spacecraft to fix a solar panel that got stuck. And I'm not looking at this, and I'm just like, what the hell? And then no, wait. There's more. It's worse. Then the stereotypes and the cliches. So we have the stoic Asian, right, who shows no emotion. Then we have the angry Russian. Then we have the Indian guy with parental issues. Then we have the black guy who comes from a colonial background, if you can believe that. And then there's Hilary Swank. So
she's the Mary Sue, I get.
Well, I guess I think that's a really good example. So I don't want to trash it, but like here's a great example. This crew now has allegedly trained together for 2 years before they go on this mission, right?
Yeah.
In the first 10 minutes of them being on the mission, they're fighting with each other. And you're just like, huh? How? How does a crew who have known each other for 2 years have such drama?
They should have the chemistry.
That's exactly it. So it was just dumb, like how the angry Russian is like, no, the American woman doesn't know what she's doing, and she froze. And then the Chinese lady, and I'm sorry, I'm using stereotypes, but really, this is literally what the show is doing. It literally takes the stereotypes and plays on them, which is another thing that I really don't like about it. And then you get the Asian lady who, she doesn't show any emotion. And she's also now siding with the Russian because, the Russian and Chinese have to be partnered. It's just so like, you watch this and you're just like, really?
Oh, it has all the tropes.
Every single one. And then there was actually one last night, which, yes, I have to share this. So a few things escalate. If you really want to watch it, I won't mention anything else. Not that there are really any spoilers. It's just tawdry drama. Really, it's a soapy in space, and that's very disappointing to me. But anyway, one of the other stereotypes is the Asian lady is phoning home, okay, and the little boy is upset, and he's with his father, and she's like, "Why are you upset, my boy?" And the father's like, "Tell your mother what you got on your maths exam." And I'm not even making this up.
What?
I'm not even making this up, okay? And then he goes, "I got 98." And then the father like turns to him and goes, "Yeah, you better aim for 100 next time." And I'm just like,
that's so bad.
I know. I'm just like looking at this and I'm like, could you exploit that stereotype anymore? Like,
wait,
really?
Is it meant to be campy? Maybe is it meant to be campy?
No, this is the thing. So normally you can tell when a show is camp, right? So like Brooklyn Nine-Nine is camp.
Yes.
Okay. No. This is serious drama, Edward. No jokes. Like serious drama.
I have a question. Who was the writer?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's related to our other favorite person who's running the CW/DC universe. But like, when things like this happen, I'm just watching. I'm like, how did this pass? How did anyone write this and think this is okay? Including the Asian actress. Like I mean, no offense. I mean, look, we're white men, so we, it is what it is. But like, if I was an Asian person, an actor, and I saw this stereotype in the script, I would want to say something.
Look, a job is a job, I guess. But if you remember back to the first few Fast and Furious movies,
yes,
they stereotyped the crap out of that as well. Like if you remember
Okay,
Ludacris's character.
But in all fairness, though, Fast and the Furious is not serious. It's literally
Not anymore.
I mean,
it was back then.
They drive vehicles through buildings. I mean, and apparently the next installment is going to space. So
really?
Really?
Gosh.
As if,
it turns into a superhero movie. So
you can expect more of this kind of tawdry, campy drama in the next Fast and the Furious. Anyway, look.
It's baffling.
Yeah, Away is disappointing, to say the least. And, I really wanted to give it a chance. I really, really did. You're better off watching Space Force, which is not even a very funny comedy to begin with. But
it's really not.
At least they use stereotypes less in Space Force than they do in Away. And it's shocking because the thing is they can all act. That's the other thing. The acting is not bad. But there's only so much you can do if you have a really bad script. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about it too much. So there we go. Those are, I think, our news and previews. Hey, reviews and previews. I mean, right now. Speaking of tech, Apple has released iOS 14.
Yes.
Boom, 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 boom. Which Edward and I have been using for the last several months, so it means nothing to us.
Yeah, it's literally just another update for us.
We won't speak about it too much because there's a lot of really cool new features. There's like widgets and a better Siri, and if you have AirPods, handoff is a lot better now. There's a lot of other cool things, but more so, we want to dive into what was recently announced, and that is essentially that there is the Apple Watch Series 6 with a blood oxygen meter. And that's about it. There's no real difference between Series 5 and Series 6. Other than, like I said, the blood oxygen meter, and then also I think a slightly brighter display, but that's about it. Most of the other functionality comes in Watch OS 7.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
And then, of course, with that said, in addition to Watch Series 6, they've also announced Watch SE, which is like the budget version. And from what I understand, it's basically Series 4. It's basically a Series 4 watch that they've just brought back, and they're calling it Watch SE. And Series 4 was excellent, by the way. A very, very, very good device. So now you might be wondering, is Hans going to be upgrading? Because he has that thing with technology. At least that's what
also,
yes.
And also, he has the ceramic edition.
Yes, that's where I was going. So I have Watch Series 5 ceramic. And guess what Apple are not doing for Watch Series 6? Ceramic.
What, Hans?
So guess who's not upgrading to Watch Series 6?
Oh, see, that's interesting to me. I really thought you would regardless.
Look, I've been giving it a lot of thought, and I've actually been looking up the titanium Apple Watch because I'll be the first to admit, look, I am very careful when it comes to my devices. I genuinely look after them as much as possible. But man, let me tell you, when something is on your wrist, you cannot help but smash it against basically everything in your life. So when I had the original stainless steel, because that was the Watch Series 1 that I bought, after 1 year, that thing was buggered up. Okay, no. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but let me just say, like, you could see the dents in it. They weren't really scratches, but they were dents. And that was just like from, bumping it against the table or the wall or whatever, because that's just how it is. So after Series 1, I was adamant that I wouldn't buy, well, definitely not the aluminium, because that's even softer than the stainless steel. But that I would choose to only get a stainless steel going forward. And then for Series 2, they released a ceramic. And so I was very fortunate to buy a ceramic for Series 2 and a ceramic for Series 3. And I will never look back, because the ceramic watches look as good as they do from the day you open them up years later, 2 years later.
It really does.
I mean, Edward is actually currently using my old Series 2. Hey, Ed?
Yeah. Series 3.
Oh, is it Series 3?
Yeah, no, it was Series 1, and then they skipped Series 2 and Series 3. Sorry.
No.
This is Series 3 watch.
There was ceramic for 1, 2, and 3. They skipped it for 4. So
okay, but this is a 3, though.
You have, if I stand to be corrected, I think you have Series 2, because my dad took my Series 3 when I upgraded to Series 5. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
let's not go into that. Let's just rather say that ceramic is honestly the one that is worth it. Yes, it costs a small fortune, but in terms of strength, like from scratches and being bumped, it surpasses all of the other materials. It is brittle though, so don't drop it onto the floor. My dad did that and it cracked one of the corners. But yeah, I won't be upgrading. Well, I say that now, but in the future, if you see a titanium one on my channels, oops.
A blue titanium watch.
Because look, the titanium is great, but I've done some more reading and it turns out that the metal's still quite soft. It still scratches. Now, I don't want to have to deal with having to buff my watch every month. You know? I just want to have the peace of mind knowing that I have this watch on my arm and no matter what I do, it looks beautiful. And honestly, the differences between Series 5 and Series 6 are not big enough for me to really warrant another purchase.
Not at all.
Really, really honest. Okay, right.
Yeah.
So, Apple Watch aside, there was also the new Apple Air, and I know that you're very excited about this, Edward.
Yeah. So what happened is, I have this iPad 7 or 6, I don't know, the first education iPad. And I've had it since it was released, and I was hoping that now 2 years later, Apple would update this one with just half of what they offer for the new iPad Air.
Yeah.
And now the new iPad Air is just such a great deal that upgrading to the new education iPad, the new normal iPad, is a waste.
Listen, that iPad, it needs to die.
Yeah, it really does. Like,
really?
It's still this. It still looks like this iPad. It's still slow. Well, it's got the A12 processor now,
which is a very good one.
It's very
actually
good, but
it's the A12. That's the same as my iPad, which is the Pro from earlier this year. It's got the
no,
A12X.
you've got the A12X. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not that much of a difference between the X
it's
and the
double the
normal one.
cores.
Okay, but you get what I'm saying though. They're using the same chipset.
Yes, I bet it's just disabled in the hardware.
That's impressive, eh? That's really impressive.
It is impressive, but the thing is, there is no value to it. But like bang for a buck.
Yeah.
The iPad Air is just a better option.
Let me guess. It also only supports Apple Pencil Gen 1, hey? Not Gen 2.
No, I believe the Apple Air supports
not
all
the
the
Air. I'm
pencils.
talking about education iPad.
Yes, that's still just the Gen 1.
It doesn't
Even
make
the new
sense
one.
to me. It doesn't make sense. Honestly, they should have just killed it off and they should have just made the new Air the normal iPad.
They should have.
Because now it looks like the Pro. It has all support for the pencils, particularly number 2. And actually, technically, the only thing it's missing is Face ID. It now has Touch ID and the power button.
That's literally the only thing.
That's literally the only difference between a Pro and the Air. Actually, in fact,
they
the
even
Air
look similar.
with its what, A14X, or is it just A14?
It's just A14.
With its A14 is actually the fastest device on the market right now, even before the iPhones. This is basically the same chip that will be in the iPhones. So if anyone's looking for an iPad Air is the way to go. Don't even bother with anything else. Unless you want Face ID. That's the only downside. Really.
Or unless you absolutely need an iPad and you don't have the budget, because the normal iPad is $299 and the Air is, I think it starts at $499.
Same price.
USD.
Same price as the Series S?
Yes.
Ooh. Okay, before we move on to that section, Apple also announced Apple One, where they're bundling all the services. It's fantastic. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I was actually weighing up the cost with Edward, and I currently pay in dollars because I have an American account. I just have since the very beginning. And I'll be saving like $20 with this Apple One family membership. So it's great. It's really, really good. But look, for those who don't know, it bundles everything. It bundles the new Fitness Plus, News, Apple Music, Apple TV. Am I missing anything?
For clarification, that's the Premiere you're speaking of now.
But of course, Edward. Like I'm going to subscribe to anything else.
Well, okay, so the 3 options is Apple One Individual, Apple One Family, and Apple One Premiere, which is also family, but just with fitness and news extra.
Thank you, Edward. If anyone remembers the coffee talk from last week. Okay, moving on to PlayStation 5.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seats. It's time for a proper discussion, because now we actually have the information for the next generation of consoles. As always, there are timestamps below, so if this is not your forte, feel free to skip ahead. Not that you should.
Yes.
Okay, so the big one is we finally have a launch date. and that is the 12th of November for, I think it's only for like 4 or 5 countries. Basically, US, UK, New Zealand, and I think there's one more that I've forgotten.
I think Australia?
Yeah, it's Australia. There we go. And that's now 12 November. But the rest of the world is 19th of November, where you'll finally be able to get your hands on a PlayStation 5. In terms of pricing, it is quite obvious that Sony did their best to match Microsoft's pricing. So for those who don't know, the PlayStation 5 disc drive will now come in at $499 or 11,999 Rand, and that matches the Xbox Series X. Then the PlayStation 5 digital edition comes in at 9,999 Rand, and that's, or $399 US, and that's effectively, in some respects, going up against the Xbox Series S, which is going to be retailing for 6,999 Rand or $299 US. Now, this has been quite a shakeup, because by Sony putting in that only $100 US difference between the disc version and the non-disc version means that they are really, in many ways, cannibalizing on the appeal of the Xbox Series S. Now, I don't mean that from a value statement. I just mean that from an overall, looking at it from like on paper, because PlayStation 5 digital is the same as the disc. It just doesn't have a disc. Whereas the difference between the Series X and the Series S is a little bit more substantial, in the sense of Series X is meant for 4K, Series S is for 1440p. So technically the same hardware, same base, but different hardware profiles, meaning that games won't run at 4K on the Series S, but they'll have all of the next-gen features. Personally speaking, and now if we look at it from a value perspective, I would still say that the Xbox Series X is the best buy at the moment. And this is A, because of price, but B, because of Game Pass. And one of the main reasons for that is because after the recent PlayStation 5 event, Sony announced that their exclusives will now be $70 a piece. That is $10 more than what everybody is currently used to. And a lot of people are quite upset about it, because there's been some pushback in the industry about raising prices. And now the fact that one of the actual console players is doing it for their own titles is a bit of a blow in the face for companies like CD Projekt Red, who outright said they're not going to do it. So, no thanks, Sony. Nobody appreciates what you're doing, to be perfectly honest with you. So now, if you take that into consideration, the fact that PS exclusives are now going to be $70 each, right? And then you look at Microsoft's model, which is that every single one of their exclusives are going to be free on Game Pass. And Game Pass only costs, and please bear with me, I'm going to be using American dollars because it's just easier, $15 a month. You can get almost 5 months of Game Pass Ultimate for the price of one PlayStation exclusive. And when you look at it like that, I can tell you now, a PlayStation exclusive is not going to give you 5 months of enjoyment. Okay? At the most, it'll give you between 50 and 80 hours of enjoyment. And even if you take that at 1 hour a day, that's only 80 days, which is at most 3 months. But really, you're going to be paying for more than an hour a day. Okay, let's be real, just putting it into perspective, that really from a value perspective, you actually cannot beat Game Pass and Series S. It's just the honest truth.
On top of that, sorry, Hans.
No, it's cool.
I came across an interview via Gamers this morning, where the Sony CEO, Jim Ryan,
yes,
he said that the Game Pass model just wouldn't be viable from a business perspective if Sony did that.
Now, do you know why he said that, though, hey?
Why? Sorry?
So he said that because he said that their games cost upwards of like $100 million to produce, their exclusives.
Okay.
But now you see, what's interesting about that is that he's implying that, other games don't cost that much. Whereas I can tell you now, almost all first-party games do. And Microsoft's games will as well. But now tell us about PS Plus, Ed, and what they announced, and then we can further discuss the topic.
You mean the PS Plus collection?
Yes, or whatever
Or
Sony's calling
yeah,
it.
I'm still confused about the name, but essentially that is Game Pass, but it's only for backwards compatible games. So what you're going to get is for a subscription price a month, you'll be able to play Uncharted, the first God of War, stuff like Injustice, all of that on your PlayStation 5.
But bear in mind, hey, this is not an extra subscription. It's just an add-on to your current PS Plus. So yeah,
see, I did not know that.
So it's not like Game Pass, which is a totally separate thing. In other words, when you get Xbox Live Gold, then you get Xbox Game Pass. So this isn't just it's just an added extra to the current PS Plus subscription. Now, with that said, and what I find very interesting about this is Jim Ryan now is saying it's unsustainable. And yet, they're literally doing it. Maybe not to the extent of Xbox Game Pass, but, you're still now offering a whole lot of PS4 exclusives, good ones too, like God of War is excellent, for free. Okay, bear in mind, it doesn't include newer titles like The Last of Us 2, all right? It's a very much older 2-year titles, 2 years ago kind of thing. I also think it's and I'm going to say it like it is, it's a bullshit statement. Let's be honest here. I
agree.
Let's not forget, PlayStation has something called PS Now. So the difference between PS Now and Game Pass is PS Now works legitimately like Netflix. You pay a subscription, then you boot up a game, and you play off a server. It actually works like Google Stadia, all right? Game Pass is a little bit different. So yes, it's all you can eat. It's a games buffet. The difference, though, is that you download physical copies to your device. So therefore, there's no lag. You don't have to worry about it. You download the game and you play it. It's better. I don't know how else.
Yeah. There isn't a better. Another way to say it.
With that said, and now with Game Pass Ultimate, they're also including the xCloud. So you can now, if you have an Android device, thanks Apple, that's a discussion for another day, where you can actually then stream almost the entire catalog of Game Pass games to your mobile or tablet, as long as it's an Android one. And the difference, like I know we just said that Sony did it, but Sony's latency is awful. Everybody will tell you online that it's just not worth it. But somehow, Microsoft have done it. So not only do they have a service where you can download games to your consoles to play, the same service allows you to play online with zero lag. So I really don't know what Sony's trying to say here.
Yeah, it's baffling. That's the defense they're going with.
Yeah, look, I also want to talk about the botched launch. I actually have it written there. So this goes hand in hand with the fact that Sony has lied a lot about what they've said about the PlayStation 5. So firstly, they mentioned that they were going to give gamers ample time to subscribe to, subscribe their interest and then time to pre-order. Okay. And they didn't. What ended up happening is that the moment the announcement was over, boom, retailers started selling the console. And nobody actually got a chance to even go and buy it. That nobody knew.
To get ready for it.
And this is the exact opposite of Microsoft, which has clearly said to pretty much every country in the world that pre-orders will go live on the 22nd of September from 9 a.m. in your relevant location. At least you know now.
Yes.
You know, Sony's one was, we'll let you know. They never let anybody know, and then they sold out within seconds. Now, that's the major bugger up in my opinion.
Yeah.
But then there are other things that they're backtracking on. So for a long while now, the narrative has been that Microsoft with their 2 consoles is stuffing up the next gen market, and people are gonna developers are gonna develop for the lowest common denominator. Blah blah blah. Well, how the turntables, okay? Because after this event, we found out that some of these PlayStation 5 exclusives are also going to be released on PS4. And may I remind you all that Sony has clearly said for a long time now, and for over like the last 2 years, that they believe in generations. And yet, they're not doing this. And note also how this only came out after the first wave of pre-orders went through. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
They capitalized on the hype that, you need the PlayStation 5 for these games.
Correct.
Where now you can play Miles Morales on the PlayStation 4.
Yes.
If you buy the deluxe edition, you'll even get a upgraded normal Marvel Spider-Man.
Yes. And even is it Horizon Forbidden West, hey?
Yes. That's it.
Yeah. So, honestly, we got to call it out because there were so many people that were anti-Microsoft recently for doing the same thing, because Microsoft said that they want to support the older generation for at least 2 years going forward. And they got so much backlash. Well, Sony's doing the exact same thing. And now all of a sudden everyone's okay with it? No. That's not how this works. Okay? If people are going to bitch about the fact that they think Xbox is holding the generation back, well, you can now hold Sony accountable as well. But honestly speaking, though, that whole holding things back is bullshit. And that's exactly how I'm going to say it. Okay?
It is.
I'm not a developer, all right? Yeah. But from everything that I've read and that I know, development works by always developing for the highest common denominator and then scaling down. It doesn't work from building on the lowest and then scaling up. That's not how development works. Yeah. You always develop for the best. That's why PC games all support the best hardware, regardless of whether you're running a Pentium 2 from like 20 years ago. Okay?
Exactly.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that.
Look, to be 100% clear, these moves Sony are making now is good.
Yes, thank you, Edward. I've
always
been sounding very negative.
Yes, it's not that we are negative about this news. It's that we think Microsoft have been unfairly treated now that Sony is doing the same and they're being praised.
Look, let's also be clear. These are just corporations, right?
Yes.
They ultimately, at the end of the day, don't care about you. They care about their bottom line.
Exactly.
The difference, however, is that Microsoft has sort of done a great job of being transparent in this regard. As in, they've been like, look, no, we want you to keep your games. We want you to move into the new generation with all your old hardware. We don't want you to be left behind. And then by doing so, everybody has slandered them, saying, you're now making it more difficult for developers. You're going to hold back the next generation, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Sony took the other opposite end of the spectrum and we're like, no, we're only going to do exclusives. No, we only believe in generations. No, you can't even use your old hardware on the PS5. And lo and behold,
you can.
Exactly. Lo and behold, after pre-orders went live and after they're all sold out, the news comes out that, oh no, actually, they're also developing PS5 exclusives for PS4. And now everybody's wondering, does that mean they might go back on their hardware stance in terms of like DualShock versus DualSense? Because my understanding is that sure, PS5 games won't be able to use a DualShock 4. But what about your PS4 games and backwards compatibility? No one said anything about that not working. Anyway, again, we'll see. And as Edward said, look, these changes are for the better. In much the same way that Microsoft has said all of their day one exclusives will be available on PC and Xbox. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Sony's doing the same thing. In yesterday's conference, every single PlayStation exclusive shown actually said also coming to PC. So it might not be day and date like Microsoft, but it just means that it's console exclusive for a couple of months and then boom, it'll be on another platform. So who wins at the end of the day? Everybody. The gamer, especially PC gamers. I see y'all sitting in the corner there, okay?
At the back of the bus.
Right at the back with the hair blowing in the wind,
With your shades on.
Oh, man. Okay. We could speak about this all day, and we're already quite far into the episode. So we're going to move on to some other content. If you did enjoy this, if you want to know more about this, let us know. We still plan on, at some point in time, doing a full-on breakdown of hardware and specs and everything as a bonus episode, because we do feel that the time has come. We can do it now.
Yeah, now that everything's out there.
Yes. Now, I mentioned COVID at the start of this episode. We just have another small piece with regards to that. And that is that, and again, another reason why you should be wearing your masks. Essentially, what researchers have found is that if you wear a mask, you now we all know that it's not 100% protection. Okay, just like everything in life, including a condom, it's not 100%. So, what a mask essentially does is it keeps out like 98% of all of the bad stuff, namely COVID bacteria in this regard. But a little bit will still seep in. And what research has found is that is enough to stimulate the immune system to help you with immunity. So therefore, by wearing a mask, you're not giving it to people who in case you have it, because you never know. But also it helps you to an extent gain a little bit of immunity if you are around people who have it. It's win-win. It's win-win. And it's interesting because so the science into it is that it's very much like what they used to do for smallpox back in like 100 years ago, where they would take a pin and they would dab it in somebody else's like pussy pustule, which is really just gross thinking about it. And then they would take that pin and like, stab you with it, that pinprick you. And that would be enough to cause an immune response to make you immune to the disease. So this is essentially what a mask does. It helps you.
I could just imagine the first person who ever said, "Hey, I have an idea how to get you immune. I'm going to inject you with this illness." Do
you remember me speaking about The Great with Catherine the Great?
Yes.
They actually touch upon it in the show. Oh. So it's interesting. So I knew about that back then, but now obviously this is newer research which is talking about COVID. But she actually does it in the show, and everybody thinks she's insane. Now, I don't know if the real Catherine the Great actually did that, but either way, it's just to show how, they did that in the past. They didn't have vaccines back then, so you did the next best thing. You pinpricked yourself with the disease.
Someone filmed her doing it, Han, so obviously she did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how my mom believes it. Whenever she watches, like we've been watching The Crown, she believes this thing is legit.
like it's 100% factual.
100% factual. Shame. I've explained to her it's not, but she's just so like, anyway, it's a really great series. Now, speaking of masks, hey Ed, we came across something super cool, which y'all vigilantes out there are gonna love.
Yeah. 3D printed, 3D printed shape-shifting wool, essentially.
Yes.
And it's actually the thing is, if you told me a few years ago superhero costumes were real, I'd say no, it's just latex.
Yes, exactly.
But no, this is real.
Look, it's an absolutely incredible development because, as Edwin is saying now, like immediately you think of superheroes. Like we've all seen Avengers, right? Like you see how Peter Parker puts on his spider suit, right? And then like he presses a button and it kind of like sucks onto him, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is real. We're headed into a future where this kind of material is legitimately gonna happen. And just to speak about it like quite quickly, essentially, the researchers, what they've done is they've programmed this sheet of keratin to have an origami star as its permanent shape. And then what they did is they'd take it, they'd put it in water, then they'd take it out, then they'd roll it up into like a roll, right? And then after that, they would stimulate it with some electricity, and boom, it would actually shoot back into the origami shape. Oh, well, of course, I say shoot back. It's a much slower process. But either way, what I mean is that they're actually developing a super cool 3D printed material that can retain shape when prompted to do so. I mean, how cool is that?
That's the thing. For now, it's slow, as you said. But by 2042, which is when the Flash had his ring, he's going to be able to use this to pop it out of his ring and create his suit.
Can you? That's actually so cool.
It's going to be amazing. This is proper future stuff.
I mean, I know we were just talking about COVID masks, right?
Yes.
So it's the same. Imagine that. Imagine having, as you said now, right? Like a ring or something, or like an earring, and you press it, you pull it out, you put it around, and boom, it sucks into your face.
Exactly. It's amazing. And what makes it more amazing is that it actually comes from recycled wool, so they don't
that's brilliant.
Even using shaving sheep for this. It's all recycled and it's all green.
So cool. Look, I dig it. I love it.
Yeah,
So as always, for like 90% of the things we talk about, we always will have a link in the show notes, so you can go check it out. You can watch the video. You can just see how seriously cool, this tech is, and
Yeah.
imagine the possibilities. I mean, imagine this, right? Imagine this. Imagine you go to a store and there's no longer sizes. You can just buy like pants off the rack, and then it just form fits to you once you get home.
I
Hey,
can hear every fashionable person listening to this now swooning.
Sorry. If you guys heard that, I accidentally got very excited there for a second and spilled my coffee.
See? Every fashionable person. If only once.
We're just going to move on to, I don't know how I'm going to segue into this, but I'm rather just going to say what it will do is it could possibly help cure depression if you feel unhappy about your body. Much like Naruto.
See, now this is where I think you're wrong, but please continue.
Okay, so this was, and this is why I love science, right? And I love research, especially more modern science, where people of our age are now starting to look into things. Okay, so Naruto is a in my personal opinion, I love the anime. I've always enjoyed it, and I watched it up to, I can't even remember what season it was. The only downside was it had terrible filler, but that aside, like, the story was really good, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. So when I saw this, and it was basically how you can use manga or anime to help in many senses, not necessarily cure depression, but it can help you from a psychological perspective to actually see the error in your ways and to be a better person.
Well, if it's something you like, I guess I understand that, because if you just watch any show that you relate with, I guess.
Yes. Well, you see, so that's essentially it. So the study it took Naruto specifically, right? And they considered it as a graphic medicine, like, graphics, like drawn, to be used in a conversational therapy model. So it's whereby, like, let's say you go and you speak to someone, whether it's a psychologist or a therapist of some kind, and they then draw on your love for Naruto to illustrate how things could be better in your life and then change your mindset. So that's essentially what the what the study sort of showcases. Is okay, cool. I'm saying Naruto now because obviously because I like Naruto, but it's essentially, it could be anything. As long as the person's interested in it, you could use it from a conversational perspective to actually help them through life events. Terrible, traumatic life events. Yeah.
Okay, that's dope.
Right? Hey, so it would, like you are a self-confessed weeb, correct?
Yeah.
So
I like anime a lot. So.
What is your one of your favorites?
My most favoritist of them all.
Well,
I'd say
a favorite.
I'd say Trinity Blood is one of the top ones. I like Erykah 7.
Well, now imagine
Gundam.
going and speaking to a therapist, and they draw they draw experiences from those anime to help you in your life. Don't you think that would, on some level, speak to you?
I think it would, honestly. It's much like using video games as therapy, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of video games, just another segue. Harry Potter Legacy. Brand new. Don't you sigh here. Brand new, incredible RPG that we've all been wanting for goodness knows how long is finally coming out in 2021. And I need it in my life. And you know what else I need in my life? Bottled butterbeer.
To be fair, you've made butterbeer before.
Yes. If anyone remembers one of our episodes from July, I actually did link our recipe in the show notes, and I hope y'all made it. I haven't heard back from anybody. So, well, even if you didn't, you can now buy it.
Yeah, trust the professionals to make it for you.
So, look, I've been lucky enough to visit the Warner Brothers Studio Tour in the UK, as well as the actual Wizarding World of Harry Potter in both Japan and in America. And there they actually sell commercial butterbeer. And by that, I mean it's technically a soft drink with a really amazing buttery beer like foam on the top. I don't know how they do it or how they make it, but it is amazing. So what they're doing is they're bottling this now. So you can buy this now. It's about damn time, okay?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And for those who care, it is a vegetarian, a vegan, a gluten-free, and non-alcoholic soft drink.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I'm going to drink it anyway, because I don't drink sugar anymore. But this is amazing for anybody who A, likes Harry Potter, or B, who has tasted it somewhere, like at one of these places, and now wants to buy it locally. Well, I mean, okay, not in South Africa. I just mean,
Not locally, I guess.
Not locally, but elsewhere,
Yeah.
Now, speaking of elsewhere, these were some really incredible research findings this week, or the last couple of weeks, and it has to do with life on other planets in our solar system.
Ooh. Yes.
Hey Ed, do you want to? Okay, so essentially the big thing is scientists have discovered the chemical compound phosphine in the atmosphere of Venus. So what does that mean, Ed? What does that mean?
Essentially, sorry, I was chugging down some water. Essentially, it means that life could possibly exist on these planets. So, phosphine is the scientists believe that these are naturally occurring chemical reactions happening in the planet's surface and rising up, but it's essentially what everyone breathes out. It makes up part of life.
Well, look, this is the fascinating topic about it, right? Is if you look at phosphine production from an earthly perspective, because obviously that's all we can speak about since we live on Earth.
Exactly.
It is technically man-made. We actually don't have any biological processes on the planet that create phosphine.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that what's happening on Venus isn't biological, because right now, scientists are postulating that it could be a possible microorganism in the atmosphere of Venus.
Yes.
However, what if we take it a step further? Imagine this, just for a second, and please bear in mind, what we're going to talk about now is pure conjecture.
As always.
As we know from a human Earth perspective, this gas is man-made. So what if beneath the clouds of Venus, there are structures outputting phosphine into the atmosphere? Boom,
Best
boom,
pun,
boom.
anyone? I can just see Darth Vader capturing Han Solo.
But do you know what I mean, though, right? No, it's not to say that it couldn't be organic. All right, I mean, that would be awesome, because then that would be life. It would still be considered alien life. But what if it wasn't organic? What if humans hundreds of thousands of millions of years ago colonized Venus and then we left it because we stuffed it up, just like we're doing to Earth?
Well, we'll do it to Earth and we'll move on.
Just like Mars.
Exactly. Speaking of, by the way, remember way back, I think it was the first episode or two, we briefly mentioned that they found rivers on Mars, or signs of rivers.
Yes.
So
yes.
Turns out that it wasn't rivers, but it was actually sheets of ice, or at least that's what new studies have led to believe.
But the thing is, though, is that the paths were in the shape of rivers, because they must have flowed at some point in time, correct? Eroded at some point.
So the thing is, they thought it used to be rivers. So it turns out that maybe it was rivers, obviously.
Yes,
but
yes.
The fact that we can see it so clearly actually comes from the fact that it became ice. So it could be that Mars had an ice age, essentially, is what we're coming down to.
We legitimately stuffed Mars up and came to Earth.
See, I think, and this is just my theory, that the aliens started with Venus. We messed that up. So they went to Mars, and we
totally
messed
that up.
And they came to Earth, as the pyramids would prove.
Yeah.
And now we're messing this up. So what's next?
Look,
Mercury,
there
I
is a
guess.
lot of, depending on what histories you read and so on and so forth. Like if you look at Sanskrit, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of callbacks in those very, very old languages to what we would consider as unexplained, as unidentified objects and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who knows? I mean, I'm not going to say that we weren't once a spacefaring civilization and Earth was our last hope. I mean, we don't know. I mean, the fact is we haven't seen anything on Mars to say otherwise. Do you know what I mean? There are no, well, right now we haven't, well, at least according to public knowledge, is no one has seen any what we would consider man-made structures. All right? I mean, I know there are things out there that people are like, oh, look, there's a face and there's a... Okay, yeah, fine, fair enough. But you get what I'm saying, though, right? Now the other thing is, though, I mean, if you look at millions and millions and millions of years of erosion, what do we have today that could stand the test of time? And honestly speaking, nothing. With the exception of things like the pyramids, which we didn't even build. I look, okay, I know we're going into conspiracy theory territory, but
that's
I mean,
exactly.
But y'all, please, there are some things that are unexplained. Like, you know, even the top scientists today don't believe that slaves cut these things and pulled them. Okay, because the millimeter thickness between the blocks can't even be replicated with today's technology. So explain to me how these peasants from 3,000 years ago did it. Anyway. No, I'm serious though. You know, there are some things that, like, I mean, we still don't know. I mean, we don't even know what's in the bottom of our ocean.
Yeah, that's scary. So, that's the scary thing of it all.
Oh, thalassophobia in full force right now.
All the eels down there busy transforming into gaijus.
Oh, yes, of course, because nobody knows how they breed.
Yeah. Cthulhu
spawn.
My
gosh. Oh, well. Speaking of weird and wonderful things, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard about what a golf ball sounds like bouncing on ice on a frozen lake?
Not, but I've been told it's creepy.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to play it for all of you now, just to get an idea of what we're speaking about. So what did you think? What did you think of that?
Yeah.
So if anyone's, I mean, we've played space sounds before. I remember in a couple of episodes back, I think we did with the Cassini probe, you know, and you heard like weird pops and pings and stuff from planets. Mm-hmm. So honestly speaking, this kind of sounds like an extraterrestrial broadcast. I mean, it isn't. Weird. I mean, it's not. You know, it's obviously a golf ball bouncing on a frozen lake. Mm-hmm. But how cool that it does that. Now, just to add to this, I found something else with National Geographic, and it has to do with black ice, most notably in the northern regions of Europe, where when people skate over them, and I mean, the ice is quite thick, it's like between 5 and 10 centimeters, it also makes a weird noise, an ethereal noise. Now, we'll link to that video below, so you can actually, you know, go check it out and you can listen to it. But like, it's so cool, you know?
It is. It's cool that sound can do this. It's all reverb,
just
and
like
vibration.
The Incas, or was it the Mayans?
There we go.
The Mayans, yeah. From another previous episode.
Yeah, I forgot.
Now, with all of this talk of conspiracy theory and aliens and so on and so forth, Edward and I would be remiss if we didn't talk about how cognitive bias screw up your decision making.
Yeah.
Not just decision making, also what you believe.
Not so much screw up as what you literally believe to be true. Yeah.
Now, there are a total of 20, so there are quite a few of them. We'll go through a couple before moving on to your favorite section.
Yeah.
And so the first one is anchoring bias. It's when people are over-reliant on the first piece of information they hear.
Basically boomers.
That's actually so true. Or, like we could apply this to anything. We could apply it to like the dumb console wars. Guys, there's no war. If you're a gamer, you win. Period. But like it's like this. It's like somebody hearing that, the PS5 has a faster SSD, so Xbox can't compete. It's that kind of an example. Anyway, so that's the first one. Second one is people overestimate the importance of information that is available to them. For example, how smoking is not unhealthy because they know someone who lived until they were 100 and smoked 3 packets a day. Now, another example of that, and this is called availability heuristic. It's also called the halo effect. And it's the same principle. It's just somebody hears one thing and then they believe that that's the truth.
Yeah,
so, it's like people saying, no, coronavirus is the flu. Y'all, it's not. It's not the flu.
It's not. Yeah.
Okay?
Science shows it's not.
Exactly.
My favorite, though, is choice supportive bias, which is basically, even though choices have flaws, you believe it to be the best, which harkens back to the console wars.
I was just going to say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, so even if it's bad, you still think it's flawless. So there's that. That's one of my favorites.
But that goes with the bandwagon effect.
It really does, yes.
Because, that's the probability of one person adopting a belief, and then it increases the number of the more people that they come into contact with who share the same belief. So it's like a group think dilemma, Yeah. And then that, of course, goes with the clustering illusion.
See,
oh, sorry. Well, actually, it's more confirmation bias, to be honest. Because, if you believe in a preconceived notion about something and then people in the same group of friends believe in it, then it all kind of links together. Whereas the clustering illusion is more where you see patterns in random events. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's how people gamble, y'all. You're not going to win when you gamble. Gambling is designed to take your money.
Yeah. At the end of the day, gambling is designed to give the house the money, not
you.
Yes. So, yeah.
There's actually, look, a lot of these biases are actually really awesome. Well, not awesome. They're terrible because they affect the way we think about things.
Yeah,
what I mean is very interesting. Does that? Yes, that is one of the biases, by the way, is stereotyping. And of course, survivorship bias is part of this as well, which we've spoken about before.
Mentioned, yeah.
Also, selective perception we've spoken about before, Ed. I forgot there's something, the Dunning-Kruger effect. That one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's essentially exactly that.
And then that, of course, relates to being overconfident as another bias.
Yep. Which is literally the Dunning-Kruger effect, just in action.
But I personally think one of the absolute worst is the ostrich effect.
Yeah, I can see
where people ignore dangerous information because they don't want to believe it.
Exactly. They just filter it out.
That's the worst one. That's really like. Anyway, it's a fascinating list. There are 20 on there, and believe me, there are many more.
Yeah, it's a huge list.
These are the ones that are the main ones. These are the main ones that screw up the way you make decisions. And it's actually quite funny because the more you look at this list, the more you realize how often you do them.
Yeah, we're all human,
but not us on Gettle. Mm-mm.
Yeah, we're perfect. We are the epitome. You should look up to what we are.
Do you mean the epitome, Edward?
Epitome. Potato, tomato.
So funny. One of another cousin of mine used to read grotesque as grotesque.
Oh gosh, Sir Grotesque.
Or and then one of his teachers also used to pronounce oxymoron as oxymoron.
My teacher also did that.
But it's not. It's an oxymoron. It's not an oxymoron.
We were even told it's oxymoron.
No,
you must call
lies.
it oxymoron.
Lies.
And yeah, it is total lies. I had a very, very good English teacher in matric, which is grade 12 for you Western people. And she was a very, very good teacher. And she basically disqualified everything I was taught before, including oxymoron. So, yeah.
Gosh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Are you ready? Hashtag NSFW.
And the crowd goes wild.
Now, with those biases in mind, there was some delicious goss that dropped this week. Now,
delicious is a word.
Okay. maybe that's not the right word, but essentially, if we
depends who you ask.
Essentially, the internet went wild, in particular Twitter and Instagram, because Chris Evans allegedly leaked his own dick pic. Now,
which
I don't believe this is true at all.
Yeah.
I think this was a very, very, very clever ploy on his part, which we'll get to in a bit. But I really think that he's exploiting cognitive biases, Ed.
Yeah. I think you could be right. I still think it's fishy the way it happened.
Let's give everybody some context, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, for those of you who don't know, essentially, Chris Evans is fairly active on like Instagram and Twitter. Now, he allegedly on his Instagram made this boo-boo, whereby he uploaded a story to his Instagram story, and it was a screen recording of a video from his camera roll. That already should be sending up red flags, because why anybody would screen record their camera roll to add as a story instead of just selecting the video from their camera roll directly into Instagram is anybody's guess. But in this sense, it goes towards us believing it's a conspiracy theory.
Exactly. Because not only did he screen cap his camera roll and then accidentally showed everything else when the video went out, he also needed to review the story before posting it in Instagram. Because that's what Instagram does.
Look, with that said though, I'll be honest. I'm pretty careful with my socials, not because I have anything in my camera roll, but just to the point of like, if I was to do a screen recording, I would edit that, before putting it up. And there have been once or twice where I have uploaded a video without actually looking at it throughout and then noticed that it actually cut off at the end without realizing it. But anyway. But Edward is right though. Edward is right. When you select a video, it technically plays through for you, like consistently. It actually goes in like a loop until you actually press publish. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he didn't see that is very unlikely. Very, very, very unlikely.
It's just weird.
In addition to that, however, the very, very juicy and well-endowed member that he leaked online was found elsewhere on Twitter at a very high resolution. Now, that leads credence to the fact that wasn't him and that it was just a penis from somewhere else on the internet.
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's no way you can get that resolution and fidelity from the video he posted. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore leading even more credence to the fact that this was an orchestrated ploy to... What did he do, Edward? What was the response?
To promote voting.
There we go. There we go, everybody.
Don't get me wrong. You should vote. If you can, always vote, because your vote might be the difference.
Yes,
anyway, I digress. The fact that he did this, also winding back a bit, in this leaked camera roll footage, we see all kinds of weird images I doubt Chris Evans personally would ever have on his phone, like a meme that clearly says "guard that pussy." I don't know if you're going to censor this or whatever.
No, I'm not.
which is clearly a grab at that pussy.
Yes, which Donald Trump is famous for having said.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that going with his new voting thing,
and going with the fact that there was a high resolution image of it, and going with the fact that when you post a video to your story, it loops consistently until you press publish, and going with the fact that if you were going to publish a video from your camera roll, you wouldn't take a recording of your camera roll first. All leads us to one point, and that is that Chris Evans did this on purpose to get everybody's attention, to tell them all to
to vote.
There we go. So there we go, y'all. Nobody was leaked, okay?
Yeah, this was a deliberate stunt.
Yes.
But if
And
that is his dick pic, I mean,
well,
man's talented, I guess.
He's, got good things going, hey? Maybe that's why he's a big star, Anyway, now back to that photo that you were talking about. That leads us onto something else that you got for us this week, hey, Edward?
Yeah. So I came across
and coming up from Goop last week.
Yeah. So in researching Goop this week, because us talking about it last week really made me curious now. Like,
it's because we all want to live that Goop life. Let's be real.
Exactly. So I came across the weirdest news that I think she's a designer. Her name is Erykah Badu.
Okay.
Now,
no, but please read the full title, Edward.
So the headline. Okay, so I came across the post titled "This incense smells like Erykah Badu's mythical ass pussy."
I love it.
Now, I'm sorry for being so crass, but who says we want to smell your pussy, girl?
Well, listen, if it smells anything like Gwyneth Paltrow's, which is bergamot and cinnamon and vanilla, then by all means, Erykah Badu, give me your incense.
So that's the thing. That's exactly her thinking. She said, since Gwyneth Paltrow is doing this candle, I can do my own thing. I can do the incense.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for her.
Yeah, no, she calls it Badusi, or she calls it Badusi, but it's actually the product is called Mythical Ass Pussy, and it's not on sale yet. It's still coming.
Okay.
And yeah, apparently she's also the person that created spray and incense for the gays, and it sounds awful, but that's literally how it's marketed as. And it smells like morning wood.
Oh, really? Of course it did.
Yeah. So,
speaking of this, my cat just wandered in and started meowing. So
I heard him. So
I don't know if anybody can actually hear this on the video. But please keep carrying on. I'm going to try and scoot him out and close the door.
Okay, no. So according to Erykah, her pussy changes men. Now, this is a sweeping statement and a half, but I quote verbatim: "The men that I fall in love with and fall in love with me change jobs and lives." She previously said in an interview, the singer has also in the past referred to Midas pussy, saying, "My pussy gives you 3 wishes. My pussy put you on the Forbes list. My pussy is the fountain of youth, and my pussy sold out in 9 minutes.
Listen,
cures ailments."
Okay, with the exception of that last statement, let's just say that, we like the P, don't we?
We really do, and I don't know how many times I've said that.
She ain't wrong.
That's the
it
thing,
be life changing.
It really be life changing. The Bermuda Triangle, as you call it, Hans.
Oh yes, I often joke about it because it does. It sucks you in, and then you can never live your life normally again.
Now the thing is, that's cool and all, but I've never seen a person with this type of audacity sell a product like this. And I'm really interested in it now just because of how forward it's being marketed.
Well, with this in mind,
yeah.
Okay. So we need to get Gwyneth Paltrow's candle, and now we need to get Erykah Badu's incense. Yes,
mythical ass. Yeah,
we need to do this. We make a promise to y'all. We're gonna try and get both of these things in so we can talk about it properly, and maybe even do a YouTube video on it.
Yeah,
because we just need this in our lives now.
We got a comment on the last episode on YouTube from Ian, and he said, "Yeah, it's been 6 months and still no delivery."
I know. So, in all fairness, COVID though. Let's not forget. Trying to get anything from abroad has been like nigh impossible.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you came across something else really cool, hey? Also related to this.
Yes. So again, going into my wonderful history on Google, I clicked through, I checked my history just to see if I found anything I might have missed in the past, and I came across a website called the Pussypedia. And oh my gosh, I've said that word so many times in this podcast today. But what this is, it's actually phenomenal. It is a one-stop shop encyclopedia for women, and for everything that has to do with
I get it.
Vagina.
Encyclopedia,
Yes.
Wikipedia,
There we go.
Pussypedia.
And this is not so much shocking news or funny news or whatever, but it's actually amazing that this exists. That a one-stop encyclopedia exists for everyone. If you don't know what menstruation does, if you don't know how exactly you should wash in order not to get infections, this website is a fantastic source. Yes,
that's brilliant. I love this actually.
Yeah, it's actually
for everybody.
amazing.
Everybody must be educated. Educate yourself.
Yes.
If you have
I'm
questions,
all for
look for the answers. And look, the reason why I like this is because if you do a normal Google search, there's also a lot of rubbish out there. Now, Google does its best to try and give you the correct information up front, but it doesn't always succeed. So at least from this perspective, if there is a resource, much like Wikipedia, where you can actually get questions answered and things, fantastic. That's fantastic.
Exactly.
Now, there's more. Well, not exactly more, but there's something else that is also related to ladies, correct?
Yes. So, as we all know, the adult cinema and adult film industry is a bit up in flames at the moment because of accusations being flung about. So what I did is I went and searched a bit about moral, ethical porn. And I came across this post which essentially lists 8 websites that are made by females, owned by females, and are all incredibly ethical, as they claim. So essentially, the post is called 8 Places to Watch Ethical Porn that focuses on female pleasure. So it's meant to do away with all that bad stuff, all the weird things you can see on Pornhub or RedTube all those other places. And to only list a few, you get Else Cinema, you get Pink Label TV, Bright Desire, and X Confessions. Now, these are all websites that basically... I went through all of them and they look mega premium. They don't look like anything you'll see on Pornhub.
Look, tell me, what exactly does it mean to be ethical in this sense?
So basically, the idea is that it can all be it can all be traced back. Is the words I'm looking for. Like they've got papers, they've got contracts. They have film evidence that it's all being done with consent, that all performers that they enjoy doing it.
Yes, it's not like against their will, or they're not like caught out, or I see. Okay.
Whereas some people are claiming many adult stars on Pornhub, they don't necessarily have the consent or gave the consent, or you don't know what the surrounding is like in this filming environment. With these websites, apparently you can trace it back, you can call them, you can ask for proof.
That's very true, because Pornhub is also community driven, meaning that anybody can upload anything, and there's no real means of validating, the source, correct? And how they're treated and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool. Well, that was... Why is it that this section always goes so quickly?
Because it's... I think it feels like it goes quickly, but we've been busy for about 20 minutes.
No. It always feels so quick.
it's a fun segment, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well,
Yeah.
there we go, everybody. We've come to the end of episode 32. We hope you very much enjoyed. And we wish you all, I guess, a wonderful week ahead. I mean, we don't have any little spoilers or anything at the end of this episode. However, there is something to say, and that is that what was quite interesting is that Edward and I were actually laughing because we discovered stuff that you guys then sent in.
Yeah, literally, like we added it to the list because we have a huge list before we prep for the episode, and then you guys literally send it to us and like, oh, this is interesting, and we're like, yeah, I know it's interesting.
But to those of you who continuously do and to leave comments and who support us online, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. And the stats are looking good. So to our new listeners, welcome. Oh, not welcome. Thank you for listening because we're at the end.
Well, welcome and thank you.
And to our old listeners who have been here for a while, you better be coming back, bitch.
Yeah. We see
no,
you.
We
see y'all.
We love it. We love y'all. We love y'all. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, everybody. We hope you all have a wonderful, safe week ahead. And we will check you all next week. Ciao for now.
Bye.